Sarah Firth there, I beg your pardon, talking to the Nigerian President Muhammadu Buhari, and we apologise for some of the rather poor sound quality in some of it there. Well, I'm joined in the studio by the social commentator Fajana-Thomas, who's a director with the Nigerian Women in Diaspora Leadership Forum, and who was listening to that interview with President Buhari with considerable interest. Susan, nice to see you again. Is the President right to prioritise Boko Haram and security in northern Nigeria above all else? I mean, he said no progress could be made without security, but I was dying to hear him talk about the strategies that he's outlining for how to cope with this rather big, nettlesome problem.
Yes, I think to some extent he's right about the military intervention, but it's not the military intervention alone that is going to solve the issue of security in Nigeria. We do know insecurity in a country do or slow down the economy. Investors are not there. But what I want, like you said, what I want to see, it is a strategy. Yes, they need military intervention. He has started that by relocating the military headquarters to the trouble areas of the north in Borno State. But I want to see further what is the peace process they're putting in place, the humanitarian responsibility, people that have been displaced through the insurgency activities.
In other words, they should be talking beyond just the military approach.
The military intervention. So how are they addressing that? And more importantly, there are root causes to insurgency. How are they going to address the inequality in that area, the education, the unemployment that are pushing a lot of the members of Boko Haram to become a member?
So that's the advice you would give him?
That's the advice, the radicalization. They need to de-radicalize these people. But how do you want to do it? There should be a clear strategy on how to do that.
He also talked about Nigeria having a rather good record for working with women, promoting women, putting them in strategic positions. But obviously, he hasn't done any of that yet, because, I mean, that was credited to the previous government. Do you expect that he will continue in that direction?
I hope he will continue, with due respect to the former president and the wife. They did have a sort of 33% representation in Nigerian politics and government, though they didn't achieve it. But having said that, I think women representation in Nigeria have moved significantly during the last administration. But I want to see the new administration to actually take it further. Further in the sense that I would like to see a policy. For instance, within my party in the UK, there is a policy that give women quota. So I want to see such a policy in Nigeria.
Well, I think President Jonathan had something like that. He had a target.
Yeah, that's it.
And I think his party did quite well in that direction. Not brilliantly, but quite, I mean, they could have done a lot better. But the question is, with you know, Buhari being, you know, sort of, I'm not quite sure how to put it, but the expectation seems to be that he doesn't consider that to be a priority.
I think there is either he considers it to be a priority or not. I think there is a lot of women campaigner in Nigeria. There is a development, if you call it the Nigerian sort of feminism, that are pushing for women representation, and I know that campaign will continue, and I know there will be, as they are campaigning, they will lobby the government as well to see, look, women need to be represented, and while doing that, actually tackling the fundamental barriers to women representation when it comes to politics.
Now, the President's also talked about being happy to work with the new President of the Senate, Bukola Saraki, and saying that the APC has recognized him as having been properly elected into office, in spite of all that, you know, all that talk about, you know, coup, you know, democratic coup and all that, and the fact, of course, that that was not the candidate that his party wanted, the APC. I mean, do you think that in practice it'll be smooth for the President working with this Bukola Saraki in Parliament?
Yes, I think so. Two things I want to say about that. The first thing is about the comment he made about interference. I think in the past, one of the issues with Nigerian democracy is the interference of the executive with the legislation. So if he's saying my hands are up, I don't want to interfere, that's a good thing. But having said that, I still believe what we didn't know when the election took place, we now knew that actually there was a primary within the party and the other candidate was elected. I don't know how the internal whipping work in Nigeria. If it's somewhere like this, if you had an internal primary that actually said this person is what the person your party is putting forward, when you go in there, that is the person you'll be voting for. Obviously,
the party whip will be there to sort of
put there.
Put things
but that hasn't happened in this case. But I think Buhari knows the amount of expectation, the huge expectation of him. They're looking at him as somebody to usher in the Nigerian Renaissance. And because of that, he will be aware in every step of his governance to work cooperatively with the houses. So because of that, I know he will work with Bukola Saraki.
Well, we'll have to watch and see. Susan Fajana-Thomas, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.